What are you going to say, Alice? So, Tucker Carlson whacked, Don Lemon whacked. Lemon we saw coming. He didn't see it coming for some reason, which is very him. He got bitchy about it, but that does not what happens.
It's like the most incredible reaction to being fired that I've ever seen, actually, was Don Lemon.
Yes.
So.
As unwise and unthoughtful as his show was, is his post-whacking tweet, just making sure that he'll never work again.
And did you see that they tweeted back at him, too?
No.
Yes. CNN PR also tweeted about him. So, long story short, he was fired. He did tweet out that nobody let him know that he found out from his agent, and that it wasn't a nice way to be treated and all that stuff.
He said, I've been terminated by CNN. I am stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. They told his agent. It's how unpleasant it is, and nobody was like, I'm not telling him. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work that I have loved at the network. At no time I was like given any indication. It's like,
did you watch your show?
You notice that you suck.
Did you see your ratings? Remember when you said that women in their 40s were past their prime and you went on vacation for a little while after
Google
that?
it.
Was that any indication?
Google it.
What about when Vivek Ramaswamy completely schooled you about race in America on air and your co-host just sat by with their mouth open because you had no answer? How about that? Is that an indication by any chance? So anyway, so CNN PR tweeted, Don Lemon's statement about this morning's events is inaccurate. He was offered an opportunity to meet with management, but instead released a statement on Twitter.
Ha 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 ha.
So that's bad when they comment on the firing like that because they feel that you misrepresented them. I mean, what a just completely, am I allowed to say bitchy?
No, you already said it today.
Okay. What a bitchy way to go out to say something like that. I would think management would have let me know, but no, like publicly on Twitter, that's bad. But anyway, but yeah, that's the smaller
Sorry.
That's a smaller cable news host firing of the day.
So they waxed Tucker. Apparently, was it this morning? It was this morning.
It had to be this morning because they were still running promos for Tucker Carlson tonight, saying Vivek Ramaswamy was going to be on Tucker Carlson tonight.
Do you have the most recent reporting on what happened? So supposedly he was going to get on and talk about, say that he did not say the election was stolen or something. And he was going to do something like that. Is what I've heard.
So, what, I don't know what he was going to get on and say, but what the biggest thing that I've seen people saying about the why of what this is that Rupert Murdoch was directly responsible for this firing, that this came straight from Rupert Murdoch. Tucker's primarily been the choice of Lachlan Murdoch.
Yep.
One
of the
Lachlan, I don't know how to say his name, whatever. But who's more conservative, more aligned with Tucker than Rupert Murdoch is, who's more obviously centrist or whatever he is. But that this came directly from Rupert Murdoch, who's sick of him, and that the big impetus is, well, for one thing, that the discrimination lawsuit filed by Abby Grossberg. So, and I didn't really know about this either. This is a producer who was fired by Fox last month. Tucker Carlson's senior executive producer, Justin Wells, has also been fired.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
I was going to name drop and say I've emailed with him. No, I've emailed him. He didn't know what to.
So, what's the matter? You can do that. You can charge my phone downstairs in the family room. You can do that. James, can you help Cyril charge my phone downstairs in the family room, please? I don't understand why. Okay, I'm not going to get into this. Anyway, Abby Grossberg was moved off of Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo onto Tucker Carlson tonight, where she alleges that she was bullied and subjected to anti-Semitic comments.
Okay, she was a producer.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's nothing that's recorded, right?
Yeah, she was a producer. She said she was coerced by the company lawyers to give misleading answers in the Dominion defamation case. Fox News denies the claim and says she was terminated for disclosing privileged company information. So her attorneys are saying it's related to her lawsuit that he was fired.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I mean, that's one thing, but it could also be that Murdoch supposedly doesn't like the January 6th coverage from Tucker. This is what the LA Times is reporting, and Washington Post and a few other places. And I don't think it's necessarily coincidental that Ray Epps was on 60 Minutes last night. Because that was all about how Tucker Carlson lied about him. Ray Epps last month sent a cease and desist to Fox and to Tucker Carlson saying that they're going to, start preserving your communications because there's going to be pending litigation if you don't take back all the stuff you've said about Ray Epps. Basically.
Right, okay.
So, and supposedly this is what they're saying was like the big impetus that, Murdoch was okay with all these hosts doing all the stolen election stuff, but not with Tucker saying that January 6th was, how to put this, that federal agents were a part of the January 6th thing. Which, I mean, it would be a surprise if there was any right-wing thing that happened that federal agents weren't a part of, because like every right-wing organization is hugely infiltrated by federal agents everywhere, right? So I mean, that Proud Boys guy we know was informing for the feds during the time that he was there and everything else. Like we know that. I do think it's interesting that the timing with the 60 Minutes Ray Epps piece, don't you?
Well, yeah, but we're kind of in that zone here, where did we have this Schumer thing?
I think it's in our exchanges between the two of us. Yeah. So we have AOC calling for them to take Tucker off the air. We have Schumer calling for them to take Tucker off the air.
This is a couple weeks ago.
These lies continue tonight. Rupert Murdoch, who has admitted they were lies and said he regretted it, has a special obligation to stop Tucker Carlson from going on tonight now that he's seen how he has perverted and slimed the truth, and from letting him go on again and again and again. Not because their views deserve such opprobrium, but because our democracy depends on it. These lies.
So there you go. I mean, I assume that it was probably a culmination of a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some people are saying like, oh, it's stuff that Tucker said about Fox management in some of the Dominion lawsuit, discovery texts that were out there. I don't think that. I think Tucker's big enough and was close enough to Lachlan Murdoch that he was not worried about.
Well,
I think he was able to say what he wanted to and about the Murdochs without a problem. I don't think it's that.
I always got the feeling he was, but CNN is reporting something different. CNN is reporting. Where is it? It doesn't look like CNN. Okay. So another thing that Tucker did was he did Vice had this. I don't know if we talked about it, but Carlson, one of his texts to one of his producers after the Trump election stuff said Sidney Powell is lying, effing bitch, and so that's been brought to that's his text to his producer. That's his producer. Probably is. I assume the guy who's whacked. So listen, CNN's account, and we'll play some Tucker in a second, is a little bit different. It says he was Fox Corporation Chief Executive Lachlan Murdoch and Fox News Chief Executive Suzanne Scott made a decision on Friday evening to part ways with Carlson. A person familiar with the matter said. Friday is when he gave that heritage speech, which is actually a hell of a speech. I consider his presidential campaign kickoff speech. We'll talk about that. Carlson was informed of the decision on Monday morning. a second source familiar with the matter said. That is definitely inside information. That would make sense too, that the brass doesn't tell programming until last second. So that because they don't know how promos work or whatever it is. That's right with those promos we're playing today, I would assume.
But then it's crazy because they played that promo and then Harris Faulkner, like 30 seconds later, is saying, like, big news for our Fox family today. Like, Tucker Carlson and Fox have mutually parted ways. And apparently my friend who has Fox on literally the entire day was saying that, you know, the 5, it seemed like Greg kept trying to bring it up.
Really?
And that got shut down.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know about that, but I mean, I think that there's obviously, I think that probably the hosts were as shocked as anyone else. James, can you help him plug my phone in where he'd like to play, please? For the next, like, 40 minutes, please? That's all I'm asking. I handed him the phone and the charging cable for my phone and sent him out of this room. So from there, you have to figure it out. Okay. So, but yeah, so if you look at the New York Times reporting about the Abby Grossberg lawsuit, according to her, Fox superiors called Maria Bartiromo a crazy bitch who was menopausal and asked Miss Grossberg to cut the host out of coverage discussions. Then she began to work as a senior booking producer at Tucker Carlson Tonight. On her first full day, she discovered that the show's Manhattan workspace was decorated with large pictures of Nancy Pelosi wearing a plunging swimsuit. The next day, Justin Wells called Miss Grossberg into his office to ask whether Miss Bartiromo was having a sexual relationship with Kevin McCarthy. Mr. Carlson's staff joked about Jews and freely deployed a vulgar term for women, according to the complaint.
Yeah,
Later
so
that fall,
it is
before an
Carlson's
appearance on
private
the
text
show,
messages to colleagues that were made public in the communiques where he uses the phrase C word to refer to Trump lawyer Sidney Powell. He also said that some women politicians were more effable than other politicians.
Who is this, Justin Wells or Tucker?
That's Justin Wells. Tucker was the C word. Justin Wells is effable.
Okay. Apparently, Mr. Carlson's staff, before they had on Tudor Dixon, had a mock debate about whether they'd prefer to have sex with Miss Dixon or her Democratic opponent, Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Oh, that's a valid debate to have. Tudor Dixon was gorgeous.
That is sexual harassment, apparently.
Okay.
And when she complained about the harassment, she was pulled into a meeting with HR and told she was not performing her duty. It sounds like she was a problem employee, to be honest.
Of course
with
it
me.
does. She was.
But anyway, that people are saying that lawsuit, and her lawyers are saying that lawsuit is related to why Justin Wells and Tucker
seems
are
like
both
it is.
out. Especially because it centers so heavily on Justin Wells, I think. But yeah, that could be part of the issue. So anyway, I think this move is devastating for Fox.
This is it for Fox.
I think the only reason anybody under 70 turns on Fox is Tucker and to some extent Greg Gutfeld, but not nearly with the same like loyalty or appointment listening thing happening. You know, a bunch of people are saying like, oh, O'Reilly's ratings were bigger than Tucker's, and you know, they got along just fine without O'Reilly. I do not think it's the same thing. I think his ratings might have been bigger on the little Nielsen box thing, but Tucker's cultural influence was huge. It is impossible to overstate how huge Tucker's cultural influence is for conservatives or really like even non-conservatives. You have people like Turtle Boy right now tweeting how that's the only thing he watched on Fox that made him feel like he wasn't crazy and like there was a voice to somebody who was like him. I mean, Tucker is not a Hannity. He's not one of these. I mean, his ability, there's people tweeting. I mean, he's bigger than Fox News. And where he goes from here, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because his influence on policy in this country and on, you know, the conversation that conservatives are having cannot be overstated. It is not possible to explain how big it is. When he knifed Asa Hutchinson over the trans kids stuff, that was a signal to every Republican politician in this country not to get on the wrong side of the, trans surgeries for minors issue, right? Matt Walsh is huge. What is a Woman is huge, not as huge as Tucker.
Right.
And there's a bunch of people saying, like, will he go to the Daily Wire? Will he go here? Will he go there? Guys, he's not going to start a Rumble show. He's not going to be...
How do you know? Jerry Callahan thinks he will.
I mean, I don't know. You think he's going to be on the Daily Wire shilling Jeremy's razors?
I think he could be in the Daily Wire shilling Jeremy's razors. It matters.
I think he's bigger than all these things.
He is, but I mean, he doesn't want to own it. He's always had. Well, he did own the Daily Caller, so.
I think he's bigger than all these things, and I don't know where he goes from here, but it's hard for me to envision him going to one of these places where he's a bigger influence than their entire organization completely.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Tucker's gonna sit around and worry about getting demonetized from YouTube or something. Like, I don't. So there are people saying that he's in talks potentially with Elon Musk to do something. I think that's plausible.
I mean, that totally makes sense.
Something totally new.
Musk would be smart. As of 6:55 p.m., NPR says Tucker Carlson ousted at Fox News following network's $787 million settlement. In an austere four-sentence statement, yada, yada, yada. Fox
So a lot of people are trying to tie it to the Dominion settlement, but Dominion is saying, we didn't do this. This isn't part of what we wanted.
Producer suing Carlson for sex discrimination celebrates his departure.
Yeah, a lot of people are celebrating. They're dumb. Any liberals who are celebrating this are small brains. Did you see the View clip that I sent us?
I'll play it in a second.
So the View people are celebrating. Your buddy Ben Collins from MSNBC, he's celebrating. So glad these white nationalist views aren't going to get an airing on such a big platform anymore. Like, Tucker was bigger than Fox News. Fox News is going to fade into obscurity. Tucker is a cultural
you're right
phenomenon.
But there's a chance he can go to Rumble. If Rumble pays him $500 million to pull the Spotify Joe Rogan thing, essentially?
I don't think that Tucker's in it for the money. Like, he's not Dan Bongino, who's going to go do a Rumble live stream. Like, I don't...
But for the money...
I can't envision it. I can't...
Howard Stern went to SiriusXM. He abandoned the huge platform, and sure, his listenership went down, but...
Yeah, but Tucker, that's not where Tucker wants to be, I don't think. His listenership went way down. Howard Stern became culturally irrelevant when he did that. Tucker doesn't want that. Tucker wants to shape the conversation more than he wants to make $1 bajillion, I think. And I don't think you are shaping the national conversation from Rumble. I just don't. And
if he gets to shape it from Rumble from his place in Maine, then I mean, he'll get everything he wants.
I mean, sure, anybody would give him anything he wants, right? Like, and any of these places would call up all their donors and funding to figure out how to pull out all the stops to get him on board if Tucker expressed interest in going there. I don't know if that's where he is. I mean, Tucker is somebody who has had a direct line to, like, the actions of the President of the United States. There's been multiple stories. People have posted how, segments he's done have changed the mind of the President of the United States. Like, things that
he told the President about COVID.
Right. He told the president about COVID. He got the president not to start a war with Iran. Like, I mean, there's multiple examples of how he has been the only person who has not been completely gung-ho for the Ukraine war.
I'm very excited to be doing this show today.
Really?
I can tell you are, too.
No, I am, too, because I think this is, like, one of the biggest things to happen in a long, long time. And I think that it's going to be... I don't think that he's going to go to, like, Bill O'Reilly, the first on TV, online, and, like... what Bill O'Reilly did... Of course, Bill O'Reilly's still making his money.
Is he?
I'm sure he's still making money. He's doing his thing.
But he has fallen off the face of the earth.
Exactly. Like Howard Stern. These people, like, anybody's going to pay them to go to some platform doing nothing. But Tucker doesn't want that, and he doesn't need the money where he cares to do that.
You're right.
He wants to shape the national conversation.
He does.
And he has been shaping the national conversation.
Yes.
And not for nothing, he also had one of the only shows on any cable news that had a sense of humor.
Oh,
Gutfeld is
absolutely.
the other one, but he was actually a Tom Shattuck tweet featured on an early episode
The first episode.
Tucker Carlson Tonight.
Yep.
Fantastic.
But
And I
let me
look
tell
back
you,
at those
also-
early days of Tucker Carlson
Yes.
when it was
Well,
must
that's
watch
when he was
TV.
blowing everybody up who had no clue. Who I thought he
Like,
was the
crazy
front,
people
the
were
weak
going on-
guy.
Yeah,
they
'cause
Googled
he
him
was-
and they Googled him and it said Jon Stewart beats Tucker Carlson up in Crossfire in 1999.
He was the wacky guy with the bow tie doing
but
a
here's
silly
the other
show.
Thing. This is why Tucker leaving is different than O'Reilly. Because
Mhm.
Tucker has woven himself into different platforms in different new media. Tucker Carlson has woven himself into the world. He brought forward and made Jordan Peterson famous. Eric Weinstein, Brett Weinstein, both famous through Tucker Carlson. Dave Rubin, through Tucker Carlson. Hold on, Jordan Peterson through Tucker Carlson.
You already said him.
I did? Okay. Well, these are guys. Dave Portnoy.
Well, don't shush me when I'm talking if you're going to start repeating people.
Dave Portnoy
Right.
is. So Tucker's into Barstool. So there's been so much cross-pollination because of him and his brilliant team. It's got to be more than a brilliant team, too, because it's Tucker's not on Twitter. He doesn't do any of that crap. He doesn't even look at it. He doesn't care. He does his job and he goes out and fly fishes.
I think, though, he does bring on a brilliant team of writers and producers, obviously. However, he does do... There's so much to say about Tucker. I mean, we could talk about this for 3 hours, and we do talk about Tucker all the time, actually. Just at home, not on the air. But Tucker very clearly... he does read a lot of online things, and I don't think this is just coming out of his producers and his writers who are looking at this stuff online and who are in these online forums. I think Tucker looks at things online extremely widely, and I have said this before, Tucker has said things and referenced things in passing, either with a wink or sometimes directly, when he did the sort of male health sperm count thing that he did for Fox Nation that was all about all the men's health and the bodybuilding and the seed oils and all this stuff. You are running in some fringy online circles to see some of that stuff. And he brought on a lot of fringy online people, some of whom you just mentioned. Libs of TikTok did one of the Tucker Carlson big interviews, but he's brought on a ton of people and completely made them. He'll bring, and really, this is one of the things a lot of people have said about him. He brought me on when I was a nobody. He talked to me like I was somebody when I was a nobody. He made me feel important and listened to, and what I was doing was important. And the way you treat people matters a lot because people remember that. And you even see anonymous Twitter posters saying he featured my tweet and my thread and talked about it and said this was an important conversation to be having. He was floating around absorbing a lot of things online that a lot of people were listening to. Gutfeld has a little bit of that, but this is why Tucker had such a young and online audience. Even people, and this is why I think he's so much more important than O'Reilly, even though O'Reilly had higher cable news ratings, is that his clips were circulating so heavily online, and the young right is so aware of Tucker. To the point, there's debate over whether he's a controlled op or not, but people know that Tucker is very, very aware of what the young online right is doing. And part of that's his producers and his writers, but part of that, I believe, comes from him, too.
Yeah, I agree. I think it also, Tucker, as far as subjects that he gets into, it's as if Tucker listens to terrestrial radio 24/7. Tucker has entire segments, and I hate them, on UFOs.
Right. He'll talk about anything. He'll bring anybody on. He invites liberals on, often humiliates them just by asking simple questions and doing his little Tucker perplexed face, which again, this is how you know he's so much bigger than O'Reilly. O'Reilly's face was never an online meme.
O'Reilly
and Tucker's
was about
face is
O'Reilly being a hard guy.
100 memes. Tucker is a huge cultural symbol, right? It is Howard Stern or something, right? And I don't think he wants what Howard Stern did or what O'Reilly did, where you sort of keep doing your thing, but you fade away into obscurity.
Tucker, Alice, recorded a video for the Kirk Minahan show in the Saco Drive-In.
He did?
Yeah, he recorded a video for them. Talk about a guy who doesn't, like you're saying, a voracious media appetite, so he's seeing everything,
Right.
including Barstool, including the KMS show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's out there seeing everything, listening to everything. He's where people are, and he's leading other people, more mainstream people. And this is why the left is so scared of him, is because he mainstreamed a lot of very far right talking points. The way the left does, like on all their shows, where they have on total insane radical like Ibram Kendi, and they absolutely mainstream like their most radical crazy ideas. You know, Tucker Carlson takes a lot of what's percolating in the ecosystem of the right, like kind of at the bleeding edge, and puts stuff out there and asks honest questions and does this stuff in a way that no one else does. And I mean, I know some people believe he's controlled opposition or whatever, but like plenty of people, and I encourage people to go listen to that Heritage speech because that he gave this weekend. I tweeted a clip of it earlier this weekend before any of this happened, because it's one in its entirety. It's full of tweetable clips, the entire speech.
What was the timestamp I gave?
It might
said
be
about
time
14
to start
minutes.
to reassess the terms we use to describe what we're watching. So when I started at Heritage, the presumption was, and this is a very Anglo-American assumption, that the debates we're having are kind of rational debates about the way to get to mutually agreed upon outcomes, right? So like we all want the country to be more prosperous and free and people to be less oppressed or whatever, and so we're going to argue about tax rates, and I think higher tax gets us there. I'm like Keynesian, and you disagree, you're an Austrian or whatever. But the objective is the same. And so we write our papers, and they write their papers, and may the best papers win. I don't think that's what we're watching now at all. I don't think we're watching a debate over how to get to the best outcome. I think that's completely wrong. And I've come to this conclusion, and I should say at the outset I'm an Episcopalian, so don't take any theological advice from me, because I don't have any. I grew up in the shallowest faith tradition that's ever been invented. It's not even a Christian religion at this point. I say with shame.
I never know what religious humor is. I never get that.
I know you don't know any of those things.
I'm just saying this as an observer of what's going on. There is no way to assess, say, the transgenderist movement with that mindset. Policy papers don't account for it at all. If you have people who are saying, I have an idea, let's castrate the next generation. Let's sexually mutilate children. I'm sorry, that's not a political debate. What? It has nothing to do with politics. What's the outcome we're desiring here? An androgynous population? Is that really what are we arguing for that? I don't think anyone could like defend that as a positive outcome. But the weight of the government and a lot of corporate interests are behind that. Well, what is that? Well, it's irrational. If you say, well, I think abortion is always bad, well, I think sometimes it's necessary, that's a debate I'm familiar with. But if you're telling me that abortion is a positive good, what are you saying? Well, you're arguing for child sacrifice, obviously. It's not about like, a teen girl gets pregnant and what do we do about that and victims of rape. I get it. Of course I understand that, and I have compassion for everyone involved. But when the Treasury Secretary stands up and says, you know what you can do to help the economy? Get an abortion. Well, that's like an Aztec principle, actually.
This is really good.
There's not.
The whole speech is just incredible. Nobody says stuff like this. What mainstream right-wing personality or politician says that sacrificing children for the economy is an Aztec principle and that the Treasury is arguing for child sacrifice? They're all afraid to say that except him.
Yes, and later on in the speech, he actually mentions, he talks about this, how this feeling, you get overcome with this strength of purpose when you say what's obviously true.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of comedians talking about, like Louis C.K. learned from George Carlin to, at some point, dare to say exactly what's on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
As horrifying as it may seem, say it. And Louis C.K. said his career started, he became a superstar once he adopted that. And that was into his 40s.
Right. That's in a great part of the speech where he's talking about how one of the strongest human drives is the drive to fit in with the herd.
Yeah.
And that people are so cowed by that. And he said, I've been so disappointed in the last few years to see how
we may get to that.
much people try and fit in with the herd. And that was like the strength of the Tucker Carlson thing, whether it was that he was rich enough or had already done enough and didn't care if his show was kept on the air or not, or if he lost advertisers or not, or what it was. But he was always willing to not go with the herd and to not be afraid to undermine sacred cows. Who else has been saying the SSRI stuff about mass shooters and stuff? Nobody's been saying it. And then it becomes a talking point on the right. And this is his cultural powers. He's driving this conversation. I can't think of, and I mean, wasn't into O'Reilly at the height because I'm not old or something, but I mean, like, was O'Reilly ever like that, where it was like he would come up with something and be the first person to ever bring this up or make this point, and then all of a sudden everybody on the right wing was all saying it too? Like, I can't think of anybody who was like that.
No.
Society in history that didn't practice human sacrifice. Not one. I checked. Even the Scandinavians, I'm ashamed to say. It wasn't just the Mesoamericans, it was everybody. So, like, that's what that is. What's the point of child sacrifice? Well, there's no policy goal entwined with that. No, that's a theological phenomenon.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the point I'm making. None of this makes sense in conventional political terms.
This is fantastic.
When people or crowds of people, or the largest crowd of people at all, which is the federal government, the largest human organization in human history, decide that the goal is to destroy things, destruction for its own sake. Hey, let's tear it down. What you're watching is not a political movement, it's evil. So if you want to assess, and I'll put it in and I'll stop with this. I'll put it in non-political, or non-specific theological terms, and just say, if you want to know what's evil and what's good, what are the characteristics of those? And by the way, you know, I think the Athenians would have agreed with this. This is not necessarily just a Christian notion. This is kind of a, I would say, widely agreed upon understanding of good and evil. What are its products? What do these two conditions produce? Well, I mean, good is characterized by order, calmness, tranquility, peace, whatever you want to call it, lack of conflict, cleanliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness. It's true. It is. And evil is characterized by their opposites: violence, hate, disorder, division, disorganization, and filth. So if you are all in on the things that produce the latter basket of outcomes, what you're really advocating for is evil. That's just true. I'm not calling for a religious war, far from it. I'm merely calling for an acknowledgement of what we're watching, which is not what, and I'm certainly not backing the Republican Party. I mean, ugh.
Ooh.
I'm not making a partisan point at all. I'm just noting what's super obvious. Like, those of us who are in our mid-50s are caught in the past in the way that we think about this. One side's like, no, you know, I've got this idea, and we've got this idea, and let's have a debate about our ideas. They don't want a debate. Those ideas won't produce outcomes that any rational person would want under any circumstances. Those are manifestations of some larger force acting upon us. It's just so obvious. It's completely obvious. And I think two things. One, we should say that and stop engaging in these totally fraudulent debates where we are using the terms that we used in 1991 when I started at Heritage, as if maybe, you know, I could just win the debate if I marshaled more facts. I've tried that, doesn't work. And two, maybe we should all take just like 10 minutes a day to say a prayer about it.
Okay, let me go to this other.
Incredible stuff, though. Incredible stuff. Yeah, people asking in the chat, could he end up at Rumble or at the Blaze? Yeah, and I just reiterate, like, I think he's bigger than that. To me, it's like there's also a bunch of people asking. Now, Tom has been on the record saying he thinks Tucker's going to jump into, he said that the speech at Heritage is his presidential campaign kickoff speech. There's also people saying, like, oh, he's going to work for the DeSantis campaign, or, oh, he's going to be Trump's VP. He's not going to be anybody's campaign manager or VP pick. He's too big for that. He's too much his own person for that. He doesn't need that. I do think he could run for president, but he's not the type of person that's going to aim any lower than president of the United States. You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
He's all or nothing. Like he's too big to like work for some campaign.
Okay, let me
Okay.
get him here.
You know, saying things you know they don't believe because they want to keep their jobs.
We want to start a little
Pressure
further back.
of whatever this is that it's called the Home for Little Wanderers in Boston and became a success. And the head
Talking
of
about his
federal
father
agency
here.
and served in the Marine Corps and sort of lived the America that you imagine is possible for people who are smart and try hard and
This
all that.
gets very good.
For people of that age, it's too much, actually. The change is too by it. I would say two things that I think we're thinking about. The first is you look around and you see so many people break under the strain, under the downward pressure of whatever this is that we're going through. And you look with disdain and sadness as you see people you know become quislings, you see them revealed as cowards, you see them going along with a new thing, which is clearly a poisonous thing, a silly thing. You know, saying things you know they don't believe because they want to keep their jobs. If there's a single person in this room who hasn't seen that through George Floyd and COVID and the Ukraine war, raise your hand. Oh, nobody? Right. You all know what I'm talking about. And you're so disappointed in people. You know, you are, and you realize that the herd instinct is maybe the strongest instinct. I mean, it may be stronger than the hunger and sex instincts, actually. The instinct, which again is inherent to be like everybody else and not to be cast out of the group, not to be shunned, that's a very strong impulse in all of us from birth. And it takes over, unfortunately, in moments like this, and it's harnessed, in fact, by bad people in moments like this to produce uniformity. And you see people going along with this, and you lose respect for them. And that certainly happened to me at scale over the past 3 years. I'm not mad at people, I'm just sad, I'm disappointed. How could you go along with this? You know it's not true, but you're saying it anyway? Really? You're putting your pronouns in your email? You're ridiculous. You know, but no one else thinks it's ridiculous. Oh no, it's the pronouns in the email. What does that even mean? What does it even mean? You're saying things you can't define. LBGTQIA+? Who's the plus? The plus is invited to my show anytime. Find a plus and I'll interview him. What's it like to be a plus? Am I a plus? I'm serious. I feel like I'm an addition. Does that make me a plus? No one even knows what it is. And the whole society, LGBTQIA+. All right, what's the plus? Oh, shut up, racist. Okay. So you reach that place and you feel, and this is one of the reasons, Father Scalia, I was actually overcome a little bit with emotion as you prayed, because I realized that I was so upset by the behavior of some people I love, frankly, in a country I revere and always have, that I wasn't praying for the country. You know, that's on me, and we all should be. But back to my point. So you see the sadness happening. But there is, as there always is, this is a fact of nature and theology and of observable reality, there is a countervailing force at work always. There's a counterbalance to the badness. It's called goodness. And you see it in people. So for every 10 people who are putting he and him in their electronic JP Morgan email signatures, there's one person who's like, no, I'm not doing that. Sorry, I don't want to fight, but like I'm not doing that. It's a betrayal of what I think is true. It's a betrayal of my conscience, of my faith, of my sense of myself, of my dignity as a human being, of my autonomy. I am not a slave. I am a free citizen, and I'm not doing that. And there's nothing you can do to me to make me do it. And I hope it won't come to that. But if it does come to that, here I am. Here I am. It's Paul on trial. Here I am. And you see that in people, and it's a completely unexpected assortment of people. I'm really interested in cause and effect, and as I noted at the outset of my remarks, and my ability to predict the future, working on that. But because I'm sort of paid to predict things, I try and think a lot about, you know, what connects certain outcomes that I should have seen before they.
So anyway, we won't play the whole damn speech, but that was the
But you should go listen to the whole thing,
Yeah.
for sure, because it's all great. He's so brilliant, and I wonder, do you think he knew at that point in time that this was going to happen?
I'd be surprised if it was a total surprise. And
I
maybe
mean,
actually
especially because they're saying it was like mutual, so you have to wonder if they like asked him to retract and apologize for the Ray Epps stuff or something.
Well, it could be the Ray Epps stuff.
I mean, because before all this happened, we were talking about how we should talk about the Ray Epps stuff today and all that stuff and like how it's such a weird thing,
Yes.
the whole thing. And if that's what forced out Tucker Carlson, truly, then that makes it even more of a weird thing, honestly, that it's out there.
And you know what Tucker was? He was a counterattack to gaslighting from the left media.
Like Turtle Boy was saying on Twitter today, like he was the one person I could turn on and make me feel like I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't the only one. And that was true. Like even from the beginning when you and I watched his show and it was like the best thing on television because he had these people on who didn't understand what they were getting into yet, like the New York Times lady or Lauren Duca or Kurt Eichenwald. Steve Robinson tweeted that with him with his binder of Tucker Carlson lies and untruths or whatever it was. That was just the best TV ever. It was so, so incredible to watch him do this stuff. And I mean, like, people got wise, and in general, like, the only people he really got nowadays have been like unsuspecting Republicans who thought for some reason they were getting a friendly interview and they weren't. But like he said, he's really always been willing to have anybody on and listen to them and give them a fair hearing and make a fool of them if they deserve it. But no, I'm not. I mean, like, I think he killed Asa Hutchinson's career, frankly.
Oh, hell yeah. Does that still stand that he's running for president? And
I mean, he
gave it to who he gave it to? ABC, Jonathan Karl. That shows you where you are. If that's who you hand off to, Jonathan Karl, that is not good. Oh.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know, what's going to happen with any of this. Obviously, a lot of people have said that like Tucker didn't know either what what was coming down the line, but I guess we'll just have to see like where this leads. But yeah, I don't know. He could also just totally not do the public thing anymore because, like you said, he's been what's happening.
This is my cut to tell you what's happening here with what's happening.
Your power's a weak old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
That's with Tucker Carlson. They have made this guy more powerful than they could possibly imagine.
Right.
He's an institution that is bigger than the institution that just fired him.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the cackling small brains from The View are cackling, these people have no idea that their psych medication that they take right now is going to be increased exponentially because Tucker is now free than they could ever have imagined.
Oh, yeah. They all think, like Ben Collins tweeted today, too. This was, like, funny to me. Recently, Tucker's A block was often more extreme than the front page of InfoWars, and I'm not exaggerating. The path forward is awfully grim, but at least his great replacement lies won't be aired in America's waiting rooms or included in basic cable packages anymore.
Another small brains, zillennial, whatever.
I know.
Kid who cried on air. Here's your buddies from The View.
Word has just come down that Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways.
Idiot.
Well, thank you for his service to the network and host of the prior contributor. Wave.
Doesn't do the wave.
Come on, folks. Na, 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 na. Na, na, na. Responsible for the degradation.
Whatever. I get enough. I can't hear so many small brains thinking that they're smart. It's funny. They're all Don Lemon. All of them are so convinced. Guess what? I'm going to do the na-na-na-na's hey goodbye thing. It's like, I can't imagine something more inane, dumb, stupid. And he's coming back. What song? What's the song for when he comes back? And also, if he applied
That's
tomorrow,
why it would be
if he
so
applied
great.
tomorrow to be on The View, they would say, okay, we'll fire them all.
I know, but that's why it would be so great if he actually did run for president, because the freak out would make the freak out over Trump look like nothing.
What does the left do? If it's him, death sentence, and Trump?
I mean, I think they push for Trump because he's like the least bad. But I mean, yeah, Tucker would be the greatest because he's like not afraid of anybody.
Oh my goodness, Dallas.
What?
We've gone so long.
Have we?
Yeah, we have. It's just been so fun. Okay, let's see if there's any more. You vamp for a second. Start talking. Say more smart stuff.
What do you mean vamp? What we didn't get to is Susan Rice is also fired. So apparently that's what Greg Gutfeld started to say today, is that what if it's Tucker Carlson, Susan Rice in 2028 for the presidency. So, which is not impossible, I think, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Some people have been floating that they think she's out at the White House because Biden's going to make her his VP, but I think she's too toxic. I think with
Susan Rice?
Yeah, I think with his foreign policy,
you don't fire somebody to make them their VP.
Well, you never know. Did you see, by the way, so they're reporting on who he's hiring for the campaign. So he's going to officially announce his campaign tomorrow, is the story, right? And there's a big story, I think, was it Politico that I had up, where they were talking about this? Like all the people that are going to be in the campaign. No, sorry, it was Bloomberg. Guess who is back, who was fired right at the beginning of the Biden administration for being a total dick to women and screaming at a female reporter for reporting on the fact that he, a member of the Biden communications team, was dating a reporter reporting on the Biden administration. And he called up the female reporter who wrote the story and shrieked at her on the phone and called her names. Yep. TJ Ducklow coming back. He was going to be working for the Biden campaign. So I guess the Biden zero tolerance policy for inappropriate behavior towards women.
That is great.
Under which they fired TJ Ducklow as there's a clause for bringing back people that you want on your team.
Nothing from Tucker as yet.
Yeah, no, but he's not a big Twitter. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't even really do much with that account. I don't know what he's going to be doing. I don't know what he's going to be doing.
He's going to Rumble. I'm going with Jerry on this. Or running for president.
Does he start a Substack? I mean,
no.
He was a writer first, right?
Yeah, kind of. All right, so we're not. There's no more information right now. That is it. That's all I'm seeing anyway. Wow, what's going to happen tonight at 8:00 on Fox News?
Did you see? I sent us Vivek Ramaswamy is still going to be on. He tweeted, "I'm going to be on Fox News shortly after 8."
Hey Vivek, let me just say this, Vivek, you know what to do.
I think he might. He also posted a video tribute to Tucker, but I'm still going to, out of solidarity, not turn on Fox News at 8:00.
Let's make bets. Does he blow up the segment with Tucker stuff?
I think he's going to try and mention it. Do you think so?
Be goddamn better do it, or
after
else
Tucker
he should
had
fire
him on
whoever's
when nobody else had him.
He better do that. You blow up this segment. You be a hero along with Tucker. Be the second martyr of the day. Do that, absolutely. He needs name recognition. Absolutely. The other networks will cover that. Of course they will. Chaos at Fox News. His guest blows up a candidate. Mm-hmm. Do it, Vivek. Rock and roll. Blow the ship. Pull the cord, Vivek. All right, should we do this? What's the chat? Where's the hot sauce, Allison?
That is the Chelsea Fire Wicked hot sauce. You can see it behind me in the shot on the video if you are watching that. Chelsea Fire Wicked hot sauce is a delicious hot sauce where you don't have to sacrifice heat for flavor. It has both. They also came out with 2 new flavors, including bourbon and pineapple flavor. So you can have your choice of those. You can find it at chelseafirehotsauce.com, at Market Basket, at Big Y. And of course, 5% of the proceeds of your purchase, like always, are going to go towards the Fallen Firefighters Foundation. So you're doing good while you eat a delicious hot sauce as well.
Replica Shattuck.
For someone that won't just give Tom the visual, even if it never actually happened, of you possibly enjoying making out with another woman. You won't even let him have that.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then you act like you don't know the reason why females get injured more in car accidents than anybody else. Obviously, that's because you guys can't drive a lick. And you're on your phone and you're doing your
I
makeup.
believe women get in more accidents, but apparently they also get injured more in accidents when they are in accidents too.
And you dabbled at Tufts with other ladies.
No.
Alice?
No.
Anybody who was at Tufts in 2006, please.
No.
Someone that was doing that to Tom, you got a lot of nerve, Albie. Getting on his case about asking you if you would like to discuss another subject. He was just trying to be nice.
Well said, Replica Shattuck. Well said, Alice. Well said. 2006,
Okay.
Tufts Elephant Yearbook. Just saying. The Facebook was new, and somebody liked the Alice's face because during Naked Quad Run, she made out with Beth.
I did not spend
Skenazy.
I did not spend any time on the campus on weekends because I was working.
Naked Quad Run.
No.
Hey, Tom, Steve from Gloucester. Can you please make sure to not call AOC fat at any time? We've already lost Paige Sparanak, and we can't afford to lose AOC. Thank you.
You know, it's funny. Something's up, Steve. So Paige obviously lashed out at me and somehow found through the tens of thousands of tweets she has that she alleges that I had called her fat. Since then, she has gone on to do what, Alice?
Like a bunch of tweets that mention you.
Correct. Something's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very important to her, I think.
I think, Alice, you were right to feel threatened.
Tom, Steve from Gloucester. I'm glad.
Hold on, Steve. I'm going to get right back to you.
Hey, Tom, you remember who this is? This is Betty Sue Chapman. You took me to the prom. You don't remember me? 6'10". I'm not going to reveal my weight. Lady never really.
So I have a full defense of this. In the same way, nobody in Winchester High School can ever suggest that they secretly ever carried my child. Not only did I not successfully hook up with anybody during Winchester High School, I did not attend the prom.
Tom, Steve from Gloucester. I'm glad that you went to the 99 in Danvers because it definitely beats the food court next door at the Liberty Tree Mall. They're down to a pizza place and a sushi place.
Yeah, Alice and I were there a little bit ago. Maybe it was a year ago. So it was terrible. It's so depressing to see how empty these places are.
Malls are scary now.
Ooh.
Very sad.
We got to find the name of that great mall movie we watched where the janitor was showing people the empty mall.
Yes, that was on Amazon Prime. It was
it's Amazon. This guy. We'll get it.
Yeah.
And he was just like showing people around the 6 out of 50 stores are at the mall, and the place is so depressing.
What has happened to food courts in malls these days? You being a guy from the 80s, I'm sure probably went to many malls with many amazing food courts. And to see food courts go down the way that they have in malls, particularly Liberty Tree, has to be sad for a fellow foodie like yourself, Tom.
You're right about that. I'll just tell you that the Meadow Glen Mall, which was the more de classe mall to go to if you were from Winchester, but we would go there. My mother would go there. I used to listen to this fat little spoiled kid story. I used to not only make my mother go to the Meadow Glen Mall when I was a kid to get me the nachos because they had nachos and nachos didn't exist anywhere else, but I would be a bitch about it if they were soggy and let her know. These are too soggy.
That sounds
fat
like
little kid, of divorce. Typical.
Excited to find this new podcast. Search Twitter, all you can eat.
Very good. 5-star rating on Apple reviews.
Whoa, wait a second. Don't step on this, Alice. This is important.
I love big breasts. Hashtag BBW. Hashtag SSBBW. Hashtag big titties.
Oh, what is a BBW, Alice?
I'm not going to say it.
Well, I don't know what it is. What
it's
is it?
a porn category. Put it.
Yes,
that way.
I know that. What is it?
No, I'm not going to say it.
What
you
is
Google
the first
it.
word? What is the first word? I assume the first word is big. Is the last word woman? Will you tell me what it is?
No.
Why? What's SSBBW?
I don't know what SS is, but that's okay.
Why can't you educate me? Can't you cleanse it for us and let us know?
No.
Why? If it's a category, it's not dirty.
No. You go find the porn categories. I'm not discussing it.
Let me look it up. People want to hear you say it, though.
No, I'm not going to say it.
Okay. Fine. I'll move along here.
I do not own any copyrights to any pictures. Male, bi-curious, African American. Yeah, that's Tom. Follow.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
This news about Tucker Carlson has me thinking that Fox News is now the WEEI of broadcast television. They've gotten rid of every person worth giving a damn about.
I distance myself from this remark as EEI is a good Odyssey station, my sister station, and I completely and totally support all of their personnel changes.
Fox News is now the WEEI of broadcast television. They've gotten rid of every person worth giving a damn about. And it's really very off-putting. I mean, I've never been a fan of Hannity, ever. I always felt like they gave, some high school gym teacher a show and just asked him to read a script. Anyway, thank you. I may not even watch Brett Baer anymore. And that's my favorite news show. But, yeah, F him.
I hear you, man. I mean, I like Brett Baer. Obviously, I've done a shot with Brett Baer. He is a pal of mine. But, I don't see the reason to be... There's nothing. I mean, I'll listen to the 5 podcast, which I listen to every morning, because it's... because I do a show, and I want to see if I've missed anything. And so I'll listen in between all of their show topics.
The 5 is sometimes good. Greg Gutfeld is sometimes good. But, I don't go out of my way to listen to or watch any of that. Tucker's the only thing from Fox that I, would ever record and intentionally, go look for it to see, what Tucker said today because I need to know, And I think that's fairly typical. I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's anything on Fox anymore without Tucker for anybody under 70.
Here's moments ago.
You think that Susan Rice is going to take on Kamala Harris for the nomination?
I think there is a chance.
I'll watch it.
And then, so in 2024, it'll be Susan Rice versus Tucker Carlson.
Okay, up next, Bill Maher.
Moving right along.
Ripping into liberals for failing to call out the...
Moving right along. Yeah, so you can tell Janina Pirro would be a company lady. I love her portrayal in that show.
Oh, yeah, the Bombshell movie.
Yeah, wasn't that a good movie?
Yeah, it was great. It's just fun to see, real people portrayed by actors, I think, is, what's great about it. But, yeah, that was a fun movie to watch, even though, obviously, they hate Fox News and everything about it. But it's, I mean, changing times. I think Tucker Carlson saved Fox News in a big way.
Of course.
And I think they are screwed without him.
Totally agreed. Sorry. Totally agreed.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. If you want to join us on Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/burnbarrel. You can always, of course, find the show for free at burnbarrelpodcast.com.
Check out my new podcast. Subscribe and follow the All You Can Eat podcast with Alice Shattuck and Tom Shattuck.
Yes.
It's about life, food, fun.
5-star rated on Apple Podcasts, by the way.
Nice. Nice job. Thanks, everybody.
C'est la vie.